Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio, and I have an awesome guest here with me. This is a friend as well, Rae Luskin. She's going to join us this morning, and I have Rae here on the line. Hello, Rae.
Hi. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Is it cold and snowy up there?
It's cold and snowy. You bet.
Yeah, we've got the same thing. So.
Yeah. Well, it's not snowing right now, but there is snow on the ground, and it's cold. It's really cold. So,
right.
It's wintertime.
Coming. That's right.
Not quite yet, but it feels like winter. This is the thing. It's that time of year again. Time to bundle up and stay warm.
Right.
Yeah, no, this is so great. I'm glad you could be here. This is early in the morning, and I know many people are busy, whether they can even do the show or could even, arrange it. So thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome.
I'm glad I could do it. Yeah.
Great.
I think it's important to start your day with a good conversation. And
absolutely.
You're always giving people positive input on how to handle their lives. So I love that.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, we try, right? That's what we have to do. Keep on trying, right? That's right. Well, I think this is such an important show because, we're going to take a look at, the whole issues of Christmas and New Year's, the holidays. For some people call them the holidays, and the whole idea that family, for so many people, survivors of abuse, like even myself, and other people and yourself, we may. Right. At certain times in our life have had these times where the holidays just weren't that much fun and, kind of almost triggering or stressful. It's kind of like everybody else in the world seems to be going on and having fun and enjoying all their time with their family. And then if we have these, for instance, myself, have this situation where, Christmas is actually more stressful than, a stressful time than a good time, how do you get through it? How do you cope? And how do you, get to enjoy some of this beautiful time of year, when this is going on in your life and you're stressed about the family. Maybe you don't want to.
You don't want to be with the family, maybe.
Yeah, you might not want to show up at family Christmas dinner or hang out with the family on Christmas Day because maybe the abuser's there. Maybe the family is backing up the abuser and always has.
Or it's the fact that person, it happened at that time, and that person may not even be there anymore, but it triggers you to say, oh, my God, I remember that, that was the first time you touched me or whatever. So, it is a difficult time, and I think the contrast as well, because they expect you to be happy and joyful, and you're not. So how do you engage in that? Engage in that and feel part of community or family, but you feel so alone.
Yeah.
That's what happens here.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the whole thing, right? It seems like people everywhere around you are, they're having fun. They're out Christmas shopping. They're out enjoying themselves, laughing, and it seems, and the music and the whole thing, right? Everybody seems to be so happy, and yet there's so many people that aren't really all that happy and can be quite depressed around this time of year.
Right, and there are a lot more sides at this time of year, because people feel alone. And this isn't even about the abuse, but when I split from my husband and we broke up, and I had my first Christmas alone without my kids, and there was nobody, and I'm going to the movies by myself. That was a horrible time, and that had nothing to even do with the abuse, but it was oh my God, now what am I going to do with my life,
Right. Yeah, that's right. See, for so many reasons, right? I mean, this really affects a lot of people, I think, and as much as sometimes it's good, there's other times that it's horrible, and it's like, oh my God, it does kind of cause you to feel that emptiness. It does cause, if the kids aren't around, or if you're in just the middle of a divorce, or someone passes away, it causes this. It actually forces you to see what you miss.
Right.
It's like, wow, I miss having that person in my life, or I missed out on a childhood of a great Christmas. I know sometimes, there's so many people who adult survivors of child abuse, who did not have good Christmases, and then our society's based on, hey, let's get out and enjoy the holidays, ho ho ho, and they're just kind of like, okay,
right. And how do you
break
even with your own children? Then how do you? Feeling miserable inside, where does all that misery go? How do you change that so that you can make the most of the situation? I mean, I think that's the key. What are the solutions to this? And there's no easy, quick fix, but there are certain things that we can do. And for me, I think was being of service to somebody else, because it does take you out of yourself. Whether it's volunteering in a soup kitchen or, I like to collect like art supplies and things like that, and I've taken them to the children's hospital at different times. It's like, how do I do something for somebody else? Because it takes you out of your own pain, but it also gives you this incredible pleasure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it does. It's something like that. I like that whole idea of, getting involved in something like and take your mind off of your own pain and your own troubles there, and think about somebody else for a bit, and put yourself, in somebody else's shoes who's having a hard time, and then reach out, in giving, because that's where, you get that sense of, wow, this is so good to be able to do this, you know what I mean? Just so it does allow for some positives to come out of something that is, quite negative. So for both people, right? So both.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I just read this article and this woman from San Francisco, she had written this article about Christmas and the homeless, and how we don't even look face to face because we're uncomfortable, and things like that. Sometimes it's as easy as a smile. If you're really, you're out there and it's a smile. And then she suggested, I thought this is a great idea. So I haven't finished my packages yet, but she said have like a goodie bag for the homeless. So if you're walking down the street, you have something, or they stop you when, at least around here, you'll be driving on the highway and you come to a turn and they'll be there. And you put in like a gift card to the local grocery store, a flashlight, a poncho, just a few simple things. And it makes a difference in your life and someone else's, and it's the same thing. Let's pass it on. And, and it's as simple, too, as just giving a hug to somebody or a smile and saying hi, and it takes some of the fear out of your own life, because I think we isolate during the holidays. When we feel bad, we turn inward and we think we're so alone. We're the only one. And there's so many other people out there who are hurting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's why I think that's important to do that. It's important to to sort of try to take yourself out of your own, head for a while and own pain, and do something, get involved with something and do something good, because do something nice that you can give back to somebody, right? Because in the giving, that's where you get that sense of wow, this is so good. You know what I mean? So good to be able to give. Yeah, because I like that whole idea of being of service, you know what I mean, helping somebody out, or, just like you said, just smiling even at somebody, right? Just taking a minute to smile at somebody.
Right. And the other thing I like to do is something a little more creative at times is I make these appreciation cards. I get like gift cards, the gift tags that you put on Christmas presents. Oh, yeah. And I just decorate them with glitter and glue and stickers and stuff, and then I'll write, "You're magnificent," or "I appreciate the way you did this," or "Thank you for a wonderful job," and I'll go and I'll hand them out to people just spontaneously down the block, and it's like, oh my God, their faces light up, you feel good, you've done something creative. So there are all these little ways that we can make a difference in our life as well as someone else's, and get us through some of the depressing time. And I do believe that creativity, whether it's writing or music or drawing, is also a way to get out of your own pain at this time of year. They could be as simple as scribbles, scribble how you're feeling, journal about it, talk to your pain, use your non-dominant hand, because, we all have to find creative ways to get through these difficult situations. Yeah,
that's right. And, so many people are, alone, you know what I mean? Yeah, there will be so many people out there who won't have anybody to share Christmas with,
Right.
And so it is important to, to not let yourself get, down in the doldrums. It's easy to do. I've been on my own before too, where I've had Christmases that were, I was completely isolated, no family around, and one year I didn't have a tree. So what I did was I took it was a thin magazine type book thing, and I actually folded it and made a Christmas tree out of it. Where you fold the sides down, and I made like a Christmas tree out of it, and that was my tree, right? But I thought, well, I'm going to do something, you know what I mean, to sort of allow myself to, hey, this is the spirit of the season. It's not about, lots of people around the world don't have anybody in their lives, ever, or, you know what I mean? There's so many people around the world who are suffering, and I thought, okay, I'll take myself out of my own head for a bit and just, allow myself to enjoy the time and enjoy the, the whole idea of the season, right, for what it really is. Which is that we know there's a lot of people out there suffering and a whole lot of people, who are hurting, right? And it's not just us, right? And so, I started to count my blessings instead of, and that's where the gratitude, I think, comes in, and being grateful for what you have, right? That's the whole thing. I had a roof over my head, and I had food in the fridge, and, I didn't have a Christmas tree or anybody around to share Christmas with, but I thought it doesn't matter because, I'm so, I was pretty grateful just to have what I had, right? And I think that's, it's important.
But I think that's the other thing somebody could do during this time. If they're depressed and they're having a tough time, they can get like just a simple notebook and start collecting pictures of things that they're grateful for, or make notes. If they don't like to write, just start going through magazines or newspapers and cut out a picture or word that makes you smile and put that together for yourself, that so you've got something to hang on to when you are feeling so down. You can look at that picture of that sunny beach, in the middle of winter kind of thing. But all those little things make a difference in your life, because it's all about how can we create a healing and peaceful environment and a loving place for ourselves. We have to hold a place for ourselves in love, and that's hard sometimes. So how do we do that?
Yeah. You're right, and that's the thing. It's that's right. So many of us know all about that, and it's like I think that's where you really do have to almost just allow yourself to because there's too many times even in my own life, like I was talking to you just before the show started, that we got Christmas coming up here, and my family is really quite dysfunctional. I talk about it all on my show all the time, and it's like, well, I know everybody's going to want to get together for Christmas, but, my brother hates me for real.
Yes.
And my dad, it's like, well, I do plan on going to see him before Christmas, but I'll be spending Christmas with my sweetheart, which is fine, but I still have to go see my dad. And there's, my sister's going to probably try to get me involved in this dinner at some point, like a Christmas dinner, which I really don't want to attend, So it puts this pressure on you to be doing stuff that you just maybe don't want to do, And you're thinking, man, if I could avoid this, at all costs, if I could leave the country or something, it'd be all right, I'm thinking, take a trip somewhere, I'd be in Mexico.
When you say, I'm sorry, I am going to the soup kitchen tonight, I'm serving somebody else,
Right. Well, that's just it. See, we can, see, that's the thing. There's be so many people in that boat, in that same situation, and I'm thinking there has to be a way that we can work around it, to still get our needs met, and still, not feel and not hurt other people, right, in the meantime, you know what I mean?
Right. I think, you were talking about family, and there's so many expectations of family, especially when it's dysfunctional. It's like, well, how do we get together? It's the elephant in the living room. Are we going to talk about this, or are we just going to pretend nothing ever happened,
Right.
So, some people are very lucky, and they know how to form families outside of their normal family. They create it. My sister was wonderful at that. She adopted a cousin and their family, and she lived there. That was her life, And so, how do we do that? And I think at different points in my life, and I think you can apply this to Christmas, I would have a woman's Thanksgiving. I'd have it a few days before. I'd have a Christmas celebration on a day that nobody else was celebrating with the people I love and care about,
that's awesome.
who support me.
Right. That's very cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah, so you get that, and you can meet your needs without, and then that day, you do something else,
Yeah.
So at least then you're surrounded by the family of love,
right.
And you're all there, and you can really be supportive of each other. Because, there's nothing worse than being in a room where you're pretending to all be happy, and it's like, oh, my God, I hate this,
I know.
I'm turning into a 5-year-old once again. So
exactly right. It's like it can be a little bit stressful, right?
Yeah, it's
like
daunting.
Okay, I made my appearance, so now I'm out of here. But it's hard. I know, because some people, there'll be people in the family that won't feel the same way, and that's what I mean by, there'll be those sometimes in families where they're just in denial, or for whatever reason, maybe they were not abused as like the other children. You know what I mean? So they don't feel the same way. They don't have the same. The same hurts, maybe the same pain that they're going through or still dealing with. And so, they think it's great to get the whole family together. And then there's maybe one or two siblings that are just thinking, oh, this just, no, do we have to do this? Because I really don't want to,
Exactly. I mean, that's a painful place. It's like this dichotomy because you have people who have this loving, fond memory of what the joy is, and then you're sitting there saying, "Oh my God, now what?" And you're cringing inside, and you close off. I mean, your whole body goes into flight mode. So it's emotionally, physically, all those pieces, and there's like, it's a good question. How do we handle that? That's a great question,
Yeah, I know. I've kind of, been looking around for some online and whatnot, different websites and stuff. That, I heard that on this one show I was listening to here on Blog Talk Radio, the person was saying, because he was talking about the same thing we're talking about, really, and he said, why do we have to go over to these houses where with family that we really don't want to go, and he says, it stresses you out. You're supposed to go and pretend that it was all great and everybody's happy and, be in denial with the rest of them, you know what I mean? In the meantime, you're not in denial, so you're the one really suffering through it. Everybody else seems to be fine, you know what I mean? And he says, what do you do in that situation? He says, I guess, for some people you don't have to go. As an adult, we can make our own choices. We can say,
right.
Look, I'm making other plans. I will not be able to be there. That's for somebody who maybe just is so uncomfortable that they can't even show up at the door for dinner. You know what I mean? They just can't do it.
What's nice is you're saying, we have to give ourselves permission, and sometimes they need to hear it from someone else, just like you said, because they would never allow themselves to disappoint the family or they role in the family, and and it's really interesting about expectations. And I laughed. This is, we had expectations. I've been divorced for 20 years, but I've shared the holidays with my ex and his wife and my kids and whatever. And this year, for the first time, my daughter and I went somewhere else. It was, 29 years old, and he went into a tailspin. It was like, what? He felt like he lost his family, even though we made a choice to go somewhere else. So there are so many expectations around this, and as adults we make choices, but then they also have repercussions, It's like, Yeah,
they do. That's the thing, right? It's kind of, and that's where I think, it's unfortunate that people are like that, because they, if you explained, like, let's say I explained to my family and said, look, I can't do this year, you know what I mean? And for whatever reason, I'm just not comfortable with it. I'm in the middle of my healing journey. You guys all just continue to do your thing, but I can't do it this year, you know what I mean? You'd think your family would be accepting of that, or if you, let's say for you, you and your daughter just want to take a trip and just do your own thing, you'd think that a family would be supportive of that and say, okay, that's totally cool. Enjoy yourself and, have a great time. But so many times there's hurt feelings involved. It's like, what, you don't want to hang out with us? You don't want to, come over and do this?
They feel rejected, or abandoned. Their issues. And it's like, so there's always it's a ripple effect. Whatever choice you make, there is a ripple effect.
Yeah.
But I think survivors need to find ways to honor themselves, be authentic, and in a loving place, for themselves, and it's hard to say, world be damned, excuse my expression, but, it's like, how do you do that? I mean, how do we honor ourselves enough? And maybe sometimes it is not going. Other times it's saying, okay, I'm going to go for a half hour and leave. Or, you have your little prayer that you say before you walk in the door, or you can make a phone call during the conference, during the meal to a friend who can be supportive. It's sort of like we have to make choices along the way. How can we be honoring ourselves, honoring our traditions and our families, because there are traditions, and it's a very uncomfortable place.
It can be, absolutely. That's the thing, right? And it's hard because, I'm enjoying part of the season here because I know, I'm having a good time and out Christmas shopping and doing my thing and listening to music and really just enjoying the whole season here. And then I'm thinking, but I know at some point I'm going to have to go over and I'm going to have to see my family. And I'm like, oh, man, So I sort of been putting that off in the back burner. But like we said, there's ways people can kind of help themselves, and I think that's important to know. And I know that you have a book that it's just recently come out, right?
Right. It's called Art from My Heart, and it's about having, fun with creativity, about building self-esteem. It's about ways of expressing your emotions, and it's talking about a lot of different topics, about paying it forward and being in gratitude. And some problem-solving skills are in there. It's a fun book. It's meant for everybody. It's really a family book. So there's a little bit for everybody in there. And it just, and one of the other things that comes up, and I just thought about it as we're talking about, there's sometimes we get into body image issues around the holidays. Oh, I don't look the way I wanted to look, or you want to somebody, you're going to the family meeting, they haven't seen you a year, and things like, how do we look this year,
Right, it's like, oh, no.
Yeah, it's like, oh, my God, I gained weight, I did this, I lost my hair, whatever it is. And so, part of this book, I have a whole section on body image and learning to love the body you have and being comfortable with who you are. And I think that's the trick. We have to be comfortable with who we are and take care of ourselves,
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's no one else doing that. So it's a beautiful book. I have to tell you, I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Got exercises for the whole family, So it's just a personal self-discovery journal.
That is really cool. I know I went to your website, and for anybody out there who's listening, like we have guests in the guest room. We have Gypsy Witch here with us, and from Australia, which is just awesome, and that's my good friend. For anybody who's listening on the archives, this is Rae Luskin's website is www.raeluskin, that's RaeLuskin.net. So www.raeluskin.net, and the book is called Art from My Heart, and I went over to your website, Rae, and it's just awesome. You have lots of information on this website.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. It's sort of a full circle website. It talks about the book. It talks about some of my work in the community and some of the workshops I've done and things like that. So,
solutions and art and soul connections and just all kinds of stuff. Yeah, this is great. I really love it. I'm going to spend some more time on your website and really get into it. I want your book too. I'm going to actually, when I as early as possible, I'm going to purchase your book because I think that is awesome, and I need that. You know what I mean? Like I think it'll kind of promote or prompt me to get creative.
Right.
And allow myself to
things.
Do that.
And it's not about being an artist. It's about being expressive. It's about honoring that place in you that just wants to play.
Right.
And that's how I look at it. It's not for it's for everyone because we all have that little critic going on. Oh, we judge ourselves too harshly. And this is a place where you don't have to be judged. You can just have fun with it. And it's nice because this is book one, and then I'm working on another book for Art from My Heart for survivors, where we'll go into some more depth on issues like what we're doing now, depression, suicide, anger, those kinds of things. And but it's all going to be art space where we talk about what can we do in an artistic way to get to some of these deep, heavy emotions.
Yeah, that's awesome because, that's the thing. That's what I need. Excuse me. Because, a lot of times, kids growing up, especially if the abuse just continues on and on and on, you really lose your childhood, right?
Right.
And you really
totally. And it's interesting because my book is very colorful, and I was telling somebody, I'm going to do it for survivors. She said, well, you're going to make it more serious? I said, no. I said, because we need to tap into that childhood that we never necessarily had or we lost along the way, and we want to be playful. We want to be bright, colorful, joyful. So you got it. That's exactly it. So
yeah, and I think that's important to, especially for people I know like myself. I mean, just to be able to sort of allow myself to have fun because I know as a child, I mean, I used to color and I used to play and be a little bit creative, but because I was abused, there was always, I was not necessarily happy. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was a fun time for me. You know what I mean? So I would still color, but I'd like to do that now as an adult and allow myself to really play and really just enjoy it. You know what I mean? And so I think this is very interesting. I know I would like to get a copy of your book, so I'm going to be sure and do that. But I hope everybody else will go and check it out because this is a great way to allow ourselves to express ourselves. I think that's great.
Right, and go there anyway. Even if you don't purchase the book, there's a free download about being a superhero, and that's it. How can we be a superhero in our own lives? What superpowers would we have if we could change the world? And so there's some fun thing right there that you can just do for yourself, and think about and play with.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. That's just awesome. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I love what you're doing. I love the work that you do, and I think it's awesome. It's really good for me because I don't my brain doesn't quite work like that. You know what I mean? So I can't think of this stuff. So I have to get it from other people. So I'm so happy you're doing this. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I mean, it's really interesting. You never know where you're going to come up with something rich, with the people and the contacts you meet. And if you look at people with every story, I learned something from you today just talking to you. And the other day I was at the health club, and I just stopped by. They had a holiday fair, and this man who was doing something, he just stuck out his hand and said, "I'm Tom." We talked for an hour and a half, and he was just talking about how he does some community work, and he always uses, there was a movie called Defending Your Life with Albert Brooks. It's an old movie, and he talks about fear, and he gets to heaven, he dies, and they say they judge you not by what you did but what you didn't do because you were afraid, and it was like, wow, that was just a really quick thing that hit me. And then, in Shrek, there's that the donkey doesn't want to cross the bridge, and how he gets the bridge, and there's all these fear things that we're afraid to explore, and creativity is one of them.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think we all need it. And I think for people who are survivors, I think it just gets to a richer, deeper place. And we also want to say, oh, I don't want to go there some days. It's like I'm doing a new series of artwork about, when the abuser dies and what happens. And I didn't want, this woman said, oh, why don't you do it? I'll give you a one-woman show. And I'm like, I don't do that anymore. I don't want to go there. But you know what? I'm starting to do it, and it's from a whole different place, and it's like, there's layers of healing, and there's layers of richness to your soul, and I want to be able to express that, and
that's awesome.
And so that's what I'm doing, and it's not for everybody, but it just offers another level. Whereas I've been journaling for years, but I get much closer to that authentic place when I do art.
Yeah,
so
that's right. I think because everybody's different, right?
Right.
And but I think it's just good to know, that's another way, that's another avenue, along, with journaling, with
it could be dance, it could be movement, it could be photography, it could be sculpture. It doesn't matter. Whatever takes you to that place where you can get at whatever you need to do, or feel.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, and allow yourself to express how you're feeling, and work through some of this stuff, instead of just afraid to do it because there's that built-in fear, like you were saying, of can you even allow yourself to do it? That was my thing, it's like, well, I guess I need to give myself permission to do this stuff, you know what I mean? And it's very, very bizarre how a lot of, sometimes survivors will, because I guess you just kind of shut down, you know what I mean? It's like almost like you have to say, well, I guess I could do that. I could learn to express myself in other ways. I could, you know what I mean? It has to become like a thought process for so many of us, you know what I mean? And you kind of have to learn how to work it into your life. And I think that's important, and especially at these times of year, when you're sitting around and stuff could be triggering people, survivors, and just because of the holiday season, the Christmas and New Year's and whatnot, so many people could be triggered, and then just sitting there just thinking, oh, this is horrible, but it doesn't have to be completely horrible.
Right.
We can work through this, a lot of, these feelings, and do something, for ourselves too, and also for others, and we can still enjoy what this season is really all about, which is giving, giving of ourselves and giving to ourselves, I think, as well.
Right.
Oh, we have about a minute left. Wow, this show, I know these half hours go really fast.
So, yeah. I was like, wow, you summed it up beautifully, Lori. I mean, you just said it in a nutshell, because when you can give to yourself and someone else in some way, it's a gift all the way around, and that's really what it's about this season, Yeah. So everybody try and find places and ways for you to feel comfortable with yourself, nurture yourself, love yourself this holiday season. And if that means service, doing a gratitude list, just coloring in a coloring book, whatever it takes, find ways for you to be happy.
Yeah, that's right. And it's these little things, that it doesn't have to take a lot of money or take a lot of, resources or time. It's just these little things we can incorporate in, that'll kind of bring us some joy and bring us, a sense of, hey, this isn't all bad. You know what I mean? Like we can do this. You know what I mean? It's like,
alive. That's we are alive here, and we have each day to find something beautiful. Just go outside, look out your window. see what's out there, and it could be the sun shines today, or you like the frozen lake out there, and you see somebody skating or whatever whatever it is that brings a little bit of smile to your face. That's what you say thank you God for.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think that should be the focus, and not allow ourselves to get too drawn into this, sort of funk, because of
right.
the
And
Christmas
if you are
season.
really in a serious funk, make sure you call a hotline somewhere. They are available.
That's right.
Find help, because this is a tough season for many, and there are professionals out there who can help you.
Exactly, that's right, and that's important. Reach out and call. You call a crisis line if you're listening to this and you're just having such a hard time and you can't cope. You stick around and you call a crisis line and you get some help. Those people, they're there for a reason, because they want to be. Nobody does that job because it pays well. Those people are there because they want to be there, and they want to help people, and they want to help people to find help and to get help, right? So it's very important to remember that. Thanks a lot, Rae. This was awesome. We're going to definitely do this again. I would love to be able to do another show, and so we'll be in touch. And you have an awesome day, and we'll just everybody go to Rae's website, www.RaeLuskin.net. Art from My Heart, her new book. Check it out, and you can even have it signed, and you can get a picture, and you can have it signed, and just go and check this out. This is really awesome. Thanks a lot, Rae.
All right, thank you, Lori. We'll talk soon.
That's right. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.